Let's look at the global secondary indexes. You can define up to 20 global secondary indexes or GSIs. Again, this is a soft limit. What's different with GSIs is the GSIs are not restricted to use the partition key of the table. So you're free to choose your partition key and sort key as you please. So depending on your application's access patterns, you can choose to create a global secondary index. So this is our gameplay table, and we have a primary key on user ID and game ID. And these are some of the examples of GSIs. So you can have a GSI on user ID table, so that's only going to index the user ID data, or the game ID data also can be indexed. So you can have a simple as well as composite keys. And you can use the same partition key as that of the table, or you can choose a different one. For example, here we can have a GSI on user ID and result, or you can have a GSI on game timestamp and game ID, or game timestamp and duration. So game timestamp is the partition key and game ID is a sort key. So we can have the same set of keys as the table. So again, there is no restriction on your choices of the partition and sort key. You can omit the sort key or range key. In local secondary index, you cannot omit the sort key, but in GSIs, there is no such restriction. Again, there is no restriction on the size, like local secondary indexes are limited to 10 gigs. There is no such size limit on the global secondary indexes. And also, worth remembering that GSIs can be created or deleted anytime. You can delete only one global secondary index at a time, but you can create and delete them anytime, unlike local secondary indexes. And when you query the GSIs, you can query across partitions. So in other words, you get to query across the table or over the entire table. The only thing you must remember that GSIs only support eventual consistency. You cannot have strong consistency operations with global secondary indexes. And another super important thing to note is GSIs have their own provisioned throughput. So you have to provision the throughput for global secondary indexes separately. And this is true if you're using the provisioned capacity mode. And another important thing again is you can only query the projected attributes. That's the attribute that you choose to include in the index.